So we're going to talk about another cool 22 caliber long rifle upper from Advantage Arms. Along with the Glock upper, they sent this to me for the XD to give my honest thoughts on, so I'm going to do so right now. This is for the basic model XD. It will not work on like the Mod 3 and stuff like that. I tried. It's just for the basic XD. That's just because the Mod 3s and the newer versions of the XDs, they changed a few things here and there. So this works on the original bodied XDs, the first generation models. So it's a 22 caliber upper, and it's the same premise as the Glock design. It's a no modifications needed. You take the regular upper off, slide this on, and then it has a couple magazines to go with it. So basically, the premise is to save money. You can take this out to the range. You can shoot some magazines of 9mm through your gun, switch it around to the 22 and do some plinking. Saves a ton of money on ammo, and you get a lot more reps. That's a very cool thing. I like that, and I really dig that Advantage Arms is doing this because I think it's really important. So in any case, this particular setup, I compare it to the Glock, and I think it's pretty much the same. This one, it seemed to have a little bit more of a break-in period than the Glock did. And what I mean by that, first I'll show just the slide kind of up close. The machine work's done really well, just like on the Glock, and it does have Glock sights on here. So if you switch the sights out, make sure you use a set screw on the back sight because the aftermarket sights may not fit too well. This is not optics ready, but that's fine because the original XD is not an optics gun unless you get the brand new slides that they offer. But I don't think that's a big issue. The function is pretty smooth. I like it. One little quirk I noticed, and it seemed to have went away, was at very first, the trigger squeeze was a little bit harder than what I expected. And what I mean is, as I pull the trigger to the rear, it was, once I got to this point, I had to squeeze pretty hard, and then the gun would go off. It was still reliable, but I was like, man, that trigger squeeze is just really hard. What's up with that? But that seemed to have went away. Now, I'm only going to do this a couple times because you're not supposed to dry fire this too much. But the trigger squeeze is good. So maybe it was a little bit of a break-in period. I don't know. Maybe I did something wrong, but I think everything I did was right. That was just one little quirk, but it was reliable with the exception of a couple times where it was a fail to eject. But sometimes that could be attributed to ammunition. 22 caliber, it's hard to diagnose these things because even with CCI mini mags, you run across some loads that aren't loaded like they should. 22 caliber, it is what it is. It's inconsistent ammunition a lot of the time, and you might have some that aren't loaded as hot as they should be, and it just doesn't cycle the gun like it should. Especially with semi-automatic pistols, you want to make sure to have good quality ammunition. The magazine fits in no problem, and it does lock back on the last round, so no issues there. Overall, I like the design. I do like the fact, because I am a Springfield fan, I do like the fact that they have this for the XD, so that way you can turn around and shoot a lot of dry fire and whatnot. The accuracy is pretty much on par with any standard 22 caliber pistol. Nothing really to speak of there, just kind of accurate enough. I mean, it's not a precision gun, but it's certainly accurate at standard distances that you may find yourself shooting. The biggest thing is it just gives you the ability to do those reps. That's really, really important. If you look on their site, they have other things. They have 1911s as well. I can't speak to the quality of that because I haven't touched it, but the quality seems to be good on the XD and the Glock models. I do think that it's worth the price of admission to get one, especially if you're going to be a real serious shooter, because you can take this, shoot some center fire ammunition, throw this on, shoot tons of 22 ammunition, and you can get a lot more reps. You can get a lot more good training, good trigger squeezes, all that good stuff with this. And then you can finish the day off with a little bit more center fire. So you're really reducing your cost of training, which that is a big thing to get by, a big speed bump for a lot of people. It's just the cost of shooting. So I really, really dig it. This is another win from them, I think. Pretty cool. Just one thing to note, the one thing that I had to note was just the break-in period. It seemed like that trigger squeeze was a little bit harder at first, and then it kind of settled in, and now it's a little bit better. So maybe it was me. I don't know. but that's just a note that I had, you know, just something that stuck out to me for this. But anyway, give me your thoughts on these particular uppers. If you have any experience with these Springfield uppers for the XD, feel free to chime in and leave a crossed sword emoji if you're here.